I need my money. It's just me being honest. This is me being straight. You know, I gave you something, and we had an understanding that you were going to pay me. And when I came home, when I finally located this particular individual, he had his girlfriend with him. And this guy owed me $5,000. And when I saw him, he had a bunch of jewelry on. He was with his girlfriend. She had a bunch of jewelry on. And I said, hey, man, where's my money at? Oh, yo, I was going to pay you. And as far as I was concerned, his jewelry we was even. So I robbed him. And I took his jewelry. And his girlfriend happened to be there. And unfortunately, she got caught up in the situation. I had a bunch of young guys with me, and they robbed her as well.
You know, one of the things that's happened through all of our conversations that we've had on the show is it highlights how insanely broken the criminal justice system is. Broken. I mean, it's so broken, and it seems so overwhelmed, and the root cause of it is never addressed.
Why'd you do it? Why'd you cut up the body? Anything you want to say? What? What'd you say? I'm innocent.
Welcome back, guys. I trust you've been staying safe. Now, this case is still unfolding in the United States of America, and it's about a man called Sheldon Johnson. And this guy's story is very, very unique, as is what he is currently caught up in at the moment. He is in very deep waters. But who is Sheldon Johnson in the first place? You saw a video of him at the beginning. I'll bring it in when I get to where I need to touch on that. But basically, Sheldon Johnson is an ex-convict. He spent 25 years in prison for attempted murder and robbery and was a member of the Bloods gang. Now, even though he spent 25 years in prison, he was actually sentenced to 50 years by the judge. Now, Sheldon Johnson was released after serving 25 years. He was released in May of 2023 after he had served 25 years out of the 50 years. And since he got out, he was advocating that he has turned over a new leaf. To the point, he was living his life as an upright citizen, seemingly, let me put it that way. And he even had the chance to feature as a guest on Joe Rogan's podcast, where Sheldon Johnson spoke openly about him turning his life around, and I watched this interview, and at a point, he even admitted to the crime that he perpetrated that got him to be sentenced to 50 years in prison. And you get the sense of a man who is indeed trying to turn his life around. But one of the things that I've realized is people hardly change. Most often, they are just going to rebrand the same BS that they've been selling and sell it back to you. Very few people change. And for those few people who actually change, what I've seen is that most often they don't even tell you they've changed. They let their actions and their lifestyle communicate the change that they are trying to achieve. That is what I personally believe. I don't know about you. You can let me know your view in the comment section. But when I watched the interview, I felt like Sheldon Johnson was trying so hard to be believed. He was trying so hard for people to believe he was a reformed man. And at a point, he was also trying so hard to be seen as a victim. I have a personal problem with people who try so hard to portray themselves as victims of people who are just doing their jobs, especially when the person who did his or her job didn't actually do anything wrong. In this case, Sheldon Johnson was trying to peddle the narrative that he was sentenced to 50 years because of racism due to him being black. And I don't know if the judge was white or not, but according to him, allegedly, the judge said that he's a menace to society. And when he started spinning this narrative, there were people who were supporting him. Now, with my little layman knowledge in law, I respect the decisions of judges because most often they have the advantage of hindsight, foresight, and the present. So they are able to see the bigger picture on a very high level, such that they may go for a certain sentence and pass it, and the average Joe standing somewhere wouldn't appreciate the reasons backing it. He sentenced Sheldon Johnson to 50 years, and allegedly, they are saying the reason he gave was that Sheldon Johnson is a menace to society. He was released after 725 years, and he is claiming he's reformed. But guess what? As of some few days ago, Sheldon Johnson has been arrested again. And this time, he was caught in the act, allegedly for being responsible for the unaliving and chopping up of another victim. This occurred on the 6th of March 2024, when police were called to an apartment in Bronx in the United States of America after neighbors requested for a wellness check for one of their residents. You know, according to the neighbors, they were in this apartment with this person, or in the apartment building, and then they heard gunshots, and prior to that, somebody pleading for their lives and actually telling someone that they have a family, so the person should spare them. Now, after that, they heard some gunshots. Now, upon arriving, the police spoke with the building's superintendent person, and the person informed the police that they actually saw a stranger coming and going from that apartment, which had the person pleading for his or her life, and the gunshot sounds as well. Now, it seemed a bit odd because if somebody commits a crime, you're expecting that the person would be in a hurry to get out of Dodge before people come around. But in this particular case, the person who was suspected to have committed the crime, whichever crime it was to be determined at the time, was going in and out of this apartment, which is suspected to be a crime scene. Now, he was not just going in and out. He will be going in and out sometimes with an ice chest. And it seemed that this guy had a wig on, or let me say this person had a wig on. I don't know the motive, whether the wig was meant to be a disguise, but I think it's very funny and also odd, to the point this person would come out of the apartment wearing the victim's clothing, go back in, come out again wearing another set of the clothing of the victim. I don't know if this person was trying to fool the people who would watch the CCTV footage, because I think obviously the person saw that there was a camera there. So the person knew he had already been captured on CCTV. So I don't know if this was the person's way of trying to beat people who would watch the footage, to deceive them into thinking that there were several individuals coming out of the apartment, when in fact it's just one person changing clothing and putting on a wig. Honestly, I think it's dumb and stupid. Now, in one of the footage scenes, you actually see this person carrying a large blue bin, but then he doesn't bring it back after he took it out. So you also see this suspicious man driving the tenant's blue Audi. The tenant here will turn out to be the victim. And this man who was coming in and out of this tenant's apartment is also seen driving the tenant's blue Audi. So you begin to wonder, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Because it just doesn't add up. Now, when police came in, they came to do the wellness check and they knocked. Now, when they knocked, they heard someone speaking to them from within the apartment but not opening the door for them. So they had a conversation. They spoke at length, and eventually the police left. But then they came back again, and they decided to enter the apartment only to find out it was an entire crime scene, and that the actual person who owns the apartment seemed to have been unalived, and he had actually been dismembered. This was very unfortunate. And guess who the man who was going in and out of the apartment was identified to be upon his arrest by the police? It turns out it is Sheldon Johnson, the same man who was sentenced to 50 years by a judge allegedly for being tagged as a menace to society, and he served 25 years and got released and went on a rampage condemning the judge's sentence and crying victim on the basis of racism. It now looks like, in hindsight, the judge was actually right and that he might be a menace to society. Of course, he would have to be found guilty in the court of law, but he was arrested and they took him to his place, and guess what? They found the severed head of the victim in his freezer. So at this point in time, I don't know how Sheldon Johnson is going to beat this. Honestly, I just don't know. I don't know how Sheldon Johnson will beat this. But I think this proves the point I was talking about, that people hardly change. Most often, some people would want to profess that, oh yeah, I've changed. I'm a new man, I'm a new woman. But hardly do these people change. Most often, they are just repackaging and rebranding the BS that they are selling to sell it back to you. Those who actually change or want to change don't say it. They let their lives and their actions let you know that they've changed. So Sheldon Johnson, he even got to the point where he was working with the paralegals. He was a legal advocate. He was all over. He was released in May of 2023. And as at March of 2024, he's back in the grips of the law. And when he was being carried away by the police, he was screaming that he was innocent. I don't know what that means, because he was literally caught in the act of cleaning up the mess he had done in that apartment. And it turns out that the victim is somebody he had a beef with back when he was in prison in Sing Sing. And I asked myself, you went to prison and you've come out. Fortunately for you, you served 50% of your 50-year sentence. So you did 25 years. You've gotten a second chance at life. You've come out, you've been professing about how grateful you are, how you want to turn over a new leaf at any cost, how changed of a man you are, and then you throw all that away to go and unalive a man you had a beef with whilst you were in prison. I think that is him speaking to his true nature. And when you listen to the interview, especially the bit about him talking about a guy owing him and how he accosted the guy to take his money alongside his girlfriend, you see, personally, I saw that he was trying to justify what he did. Talking about, unfortunately, the girlfriend got caught up in the situation. What is unfortunate about that? I think it's something he could have controlled. He had the will to say that, no, we are not doing this. Let's stop this. Let's resort to this other means, because now I'm trying to turn over a new leaf and do things right. But he opted for what his instinct drives him to naturally, which is the violence. And now he's right back at where he is. And given the way he has lashed back at the judge who initially gave him the 50-year sentence, I don't know how his current case is going to play back or play out in court, because if he's found guilty, then it would seem like him being released after serving 25 years of that 50 years wasn't such a good idea, because it turns out he was actually not fully reformed. In which case, maybe this guy could get life, because even the crime in itself is possibly going to warrant a life sentence. So I think these are going to be very dark days for Sheldon Johnson. I don't see how he's going to beat this, but well, we all know that there are also some very good lawyers around, and sometimes on the basis of technicality, they could beat some things. But until then, Sheldon Johnson is actually a suspect, but he hasn't been convicted. So, in the eyes of the law, he's innocent until proven guilty. But I know also that the security agencies are conducting a thorough investigation to ensure that no stone is left unturned. And I don't think that Sheldon Johnson will beat this, actually. I don't think he'll be able to beat this. I think that he could try. At best, they may want to go for the possibility of seeking a lesser sentence because he's an ex-con. He has a history of attempted murder already, and now he has actually committed the murder. I don't know, but I don't see the light at the tunnel for Sheldon Johnson. His dad came to speak about it, talked about the fact that he's a good guy and all, yeah, I respect it, but that is his father. What else would you expect him to say? For those of us who don't know him, we look at what he does, and this is what he has done now, and it's just crazy. What do you think about this entire case? Did you actually believe Sheldon Johnson when he was professing he had changed? Let me know. If you didn't believe, let me also know. Do you actually believe people change? Let's have a conversation. And if you don't believe, let's have a conversation. But then, please, most of you viewers are enjoying my content, but you don't do me the favor of subscribing. So I have most of you watching but not subscribing, and it's really hurting my growth and the growth of the channel. Please do me this favor. Just hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but it helps me so much, and I'll be really grateful. Thank you so much. Make time to watch some of our videos and give us feedback. I'll catch you on the next one. Stay safe out there.